G'day taxpayers. The conflict in the Gulf states is clearly concerning, having some impact on financial markets, most notably a lift in the price of oil, although it's not been that big a move at this stage. Of course, there's still plenty of things that are going to unfold in terms of the conflict, and that may still yet force the oil price higher. But even if it does move higher, a couple of things to think about in terms of the importance of oil in the global economy. Now, according to the World Bank, the oil intensity, that is the amount of oil used to produce $1 of world GDP, is at its lowest level it's been since they've started measuring this thing. So back in the 70s, when the first oil shock came through, the oil intensity was about 0.12. Now it's down to 0.05, meaning that there's been a 60% decline in the incidence of oil usage to produce a unit of economic output, partly because a move to renewables, of course, partly because fuel efficiency is much greater, of course, and partly the growth of the services sector, which doesn't seem to use a lot of oil in terms of how it's going to be impacting. So bottom line effect on global economic activity is less than half it was back 50 years ago. And not saying it's not important, but the effect is probably easily overstated and difficult to sort of articulate that it's not such a big deal. Now, in terms of inflation here in Australia, again, a few of the kitty cats are getting scared about what the impact will be on inflation and whether it will impact the Reserve Bank. I just simply note that the petrol price has a 3.35% weighting in the Consumer Price Index, so yeah, not a particularly significant move. So, for example, a 10% move in the oil price adds about 0.3 to the inflation rate. So, and when the oil price comes down, it has the opposite effect, of course. And we spend more on beer and wine than we do on petrol. We spend more on clothing and shoes, or about the same on clothing and shoes as we do on petrol. So look, it's not that it doesn't matter, but it just doesn't have that same impact on inflation. And by the way, it's almost certainly going to be trimmed out of the headline inflation rate when we get these numbers in coming months and coming quarters. That's if the oil price even stays where it is. So, yeah, it's an interesting part of it. And of course, we economists are going to be looking at economic effects of what's happening in the Gulf states. But at this stage, there's a lot of people creating a pretty scary sort of headline because the oil price has gone up, where in fact, the effect is going to be pretty puny. Oil doesn't matter as much as it used to.